We're back. Who missed us?
Welcome to the Talking Stick episode number 24. See how big Jackson's got?
I know. I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't seen him in a while.
Hi, say hi, Jackson.
Say hi. Hi.
Yeah. So we've been very busy with everything. A lot of
sewing.
Yeah, wholesaling. If you guys want to do wholesaling, we can. Send us a message, email, and if you have already, please send it again because we have been craziness over here.
We have a lot going on, but we're trying to get back into this. We had a lot of people request or ask us, like, when are we going to get do the podcast again at the last powwow at the UCLA powwow in LA? Yeah. So they gave us, you guys gave us that extra push, that extra motivation to get it going again, bring it back.
Yeah, thank you. So let me see if our guest is on yet.
I saw him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Today,
you could do an intro.
Today we have Cris, dansante, tattoo artist. He should be connected. We sent you an invitation. There you are. What's up?
What up, fellas?
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Pretty good. Thank you so much for coming on here with us.
The sound is good?
Blessing us with your presence.
Can you guys hear me good?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Can you hear us good?
I can. 100%.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. We'll go first and then you go next. So, hi, everybody. I'm Yendi. I am Mayan and Mexican.
Johnny Nito from the Tule River Tribe, along with Jackson Nito.
And today's guest is Cris. Go ahead, Cris. Introduce
yourself.
What's
up, you guys? Yeah, my name is Cris Calvillo. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm Mexican-American. And I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Thank you for being on with us.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll let you talk more as we get in more detail along with your Aztec dancing and what you do in the community down there in Southern California, Los Angeles. So you do a lot of good things along with your family there. Teach, educate, indigenous, stuff that we go through every day, but the city life too, along with that, and how that goes in combined with the culture there and your own culture, finding the roots to that and then understanding. So we got a pretty good talk today of what we're going to bring with this podcast.
Oh yeah, it's going to be strong.
And I've been learning a lot from this whole process with the kids Aztec dancing and Yendi learning. And they've been going for about over a year. And I'm like, did you pick it up yet? Like, damn, man.
That's tough. It's tough, bounce.
Yeah,
it's tough.
So, yeah, you could go start it off.
Yeah. So, Cris, my main thing, and we talked about this, how was it growing up in LA? And we know, there's some rough places in LA. Like, you have to adapt to those lifestyles out there. And how did you still stay connected to your culture? And how was it trying to live and do those two things?
For sure. All right. So before I go into that, it started off with the family, like my immediate family, right? We were blessed to have our mom and our dad. They're both immigrants from Mexico, right? Pops being from Guadalajara, Jalisco. My mom being from Nogales, Arizona, right? Sonora, that whole area. And we were brought up with some good culture within our walls, right? And pretty much because of my father and my mother, they too were artists in their own trades. My mom had a lot of hand skills with like traditional piñatas, and we grew up with that. We grew up with helping out, hands-on, assisting, whatnot. My pops, on the other hand, was a jeweler, right? A very crafty jeweler in Mexico, and came down here to California and continued his craft. So there, we grew up watching all this and being a part of that, just by seeing, But then also my pops was a sportsman. He played sports on the weekends and stuff. So that was big. That was big. Like instilled that into us. And when I say us, I'm one of four, right? So shout out to my brothers and sisters. It's four of us, right? We're all Chris's. It's Crystal, and then myself, Cris, and then Christian and Christina, right? So what I'm referring to in the beginning was myself and my older sister. So me and my sister gravitated a lot towards my mom's because pops was in and out of working and shit, so he wasn't really around like we wanted him to. But then when he did make a presence, it was strong. Like he pushed us to do things out of the house, and we didn't have all this technology and shit, so we were definitely out there, exploring. And I was always like breaking stuff and like building and playing and going nuts, and my sister was more like dancing, things like that. So the reason why I bring up that beginning is because we had like a fun foundation, right? Which wasn't really common in the inner city. It really wasn't. Like my peers, they didn't. I never heard of anything like that. But then being so young, like you don't really pay attention to what others like. You don't judge and you don't compare. So I know now, being an adult, like that set up a very strong foundation. So going into your question, right? We all know that the inner city, especially like the res, right? Like that's a tight knit community where there's like culture just and traditions more than anything, where it's passed on and it's in your view. Being in the inner city though, man, it's really tough because you do have to be a chameleon, man. You gotta tap into different ways of talk, different ways you carry yourself, and how you play with certain individuals and all that. And I did grow up kind of tough, man. Like it was hard. It was really hard. Um, what do I mean by hard though? Is because it was challenging, like at all times. Um, Skateboarding, and there was always competition. Like a lot of competition with sports, with being in school. I was I feel that what helped me out along that young youth ride, being in the inner city, was going to a an art school. It was a performing arts school, right?
Cool.
And so the cool part about that was that my mom's mother, my grandma, Nelly Fergoso, rest in peace. She was a TA, helped out kindergarten and all that. So that helped me out a lot, going into that school and just not necessarily having that crutch, where I'm like, oh, grandma got my back. But no, it wasn't that. It was more like I never really paid attention to how challenging it was. I was always just dealing with it and getting through it, and so that set up a really, really strong attitude going into my teenage years, and then into high school, and then outside into the young adult life. And it was very tough, man. Like getting past the teens years, there was a lot of this is a very key thing right here. You're presented with a lot of doors, right? And then us youngsters being in the city, you open them up, and sometimes you don't want to be in that. You don't want to go through that door. You find yourself, like being confused, and you don't know where the hell you're going, and being like pulled this way, that way. It's just a lot of distraction. So this is what ended up happening when I got into mischief and like found myself, super just going off the grid. A lot of my punishment was I had to go with my pops. I had to get back to, dancing. I had to, help my mom and my grandma, cook, and gotta clean before you go. And like those good trades, man, that, a lot of youth really don't know about. But, and I mean, nowadays, some do, some don't, but it was like a must. You had to do before you whatever. And that was something I kept in my pocket whenever I needed it. It reminded me of like that disciplinary growing up. and things like that. So, man, just it was crazy getting to like becoming 18 years old was like nuts. It was like, damn, I got there. Then 20, like shit, I survived. And it's an ugly way of thinking, but that is what a lot of inner city kids go through, especially from the 80s. You know what I'm saying? I'm 38 years old, by the way, you guys. I didn't really share my my introduction was kind of very small, but
All right. All right.
so I'm 38, man. I went through a lot of stuff through the 90s, you know, early 2000s, and so what I said was key. Along the way, when I found myself getting lost, confused, or like super just off the grid, you know, a lot of my a lot of my knowledge came from coming back, man, to like my family, you know, and because my family had that base where you had to help, you had to, you know, hands on, you had to do this, you had to do that, travel. We did a lot of camping, we did a lot of outdoor stuff, sports. So sports, man, hey, hat off to all my coaches that I've ever came across, because if it wasn't for that, you know, along with my parents, that disciplinary action inside like wouldn't fire up when I need it, you know. So that pretty much is how I got through that crazy ass like growing up in the inner city, you know. Of course, there's a lot of details that it will be here forever, but I do want to say, like, you know, that those are the key things that I kept coming back to my family, and that was like not just a safe haven, but there was constructive work that needed to be done, and then other, you know what I'm saying? So that's something tight that I picked up along my youth, you know. I just knew it was there. That's the thing. I knew it was there. So I was very blessed to have that foundation. I knew I could come back to, you know.
Yeah.
How do you say floro? I can never say it. The dancing?
Flor?
No, floro.
Oh, folklorico.
Wait, say it again.
Folklorico.
Folklorico.
Yeah, folklorico.
Folklorico.
Yes.
And you said you were doing that, right?
Oh,
and
man.
then
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
It's a crazy story.
Got buffering going on.
We lost you, Cris. You're loading up.
Loading up the story.
He did say it was a long story.
Dang. So, yeah, with the different groups and him coming back, you know, the ties. It's pretty interesting not to hear just his story, but there's a lot of other stories out there that are very similar, and how you're not really alone when you walk that type of road. And a lot of it's encouraged. You know, you could be a dancer, you could be a drummer, you could be a
singer.
Keeper, a firekeeper, a whistle keeper, or whatever you guys have with that. And there's a lot of knowledge that goes into it, and you kind of don't know what you're chosen for until you really look for it and find it. Not just from our standpoint, but from other standpoints.
All
also.
cultures.
Yeah, culture-wise, and then you have that connection to it. So there you go.
Hi.
I don't
You're
know.
like halfway done with your story, and then I'm just kidding.
No. You were just getting started.
About the folklorico part of the stuff. Okay, so my oldest sister, right, Cristoval Calvillo, right? She started out that path, and
cool.
there's a specific thing that I never get. Man, it was hilarious and embarrassing at the same time. So we had this really strong teacher, all right, and his name was Billy Burke, right? So shout out to that teacher. He saw something crazy in me, and I didn't even know. I was out of sight, out of mind. I was playing on the yard in school. My sister was in dance class, and the ball rolled over there. I went and I started making fun of them. So then he had this crazy ass whistle, like this, it's crazy. So it
Mm-hmm.
stopped you in your tracks, right? So he whistled after I made fun. He called me in. He's like, dude, you're going to go to the office or you're going to come inside and do this. So I went in and he put me on the spot. And my friends were making fun and all that. So I did it. I did the dance moves they were doing. I believe they were working on like Los Machetes from Jalisco, right? So I did that dance and then I did it right. And then he was like, can I go? And he was like, no, you got to stay and do it. And I was like, oh, shit, right? Point is, he did let me go. And then like 2 days later, my classes were changed and I was in the damn class. Like, and only like 7th and 8th graders had that class. I believe I was in the 6th grade or something. So it was, I got there and I was like, I don't want to do this, man. It's not what I want. They were making fun of me, my peers, right, and stuff. So I ended up being my sister's partner, and then that's where it started. So,
Oh.
right. So it started, I started seeing some of these dances, and I ended up gravitating towards that. Like, I like this. Like, my body could do this. I could see what I'm doing. And so, moving on forward, I just kept going with it, right? And my sister kept going with it. So we met really good teachers. We got recruited into dance groups and
Nice.
whatnot. So fast forward that, I ended up soaking in a lot of what the teachers were laid down and fast, like quick. And I noticed that I would observe it, then I would try it, and then I had it. And it was like an ongoing thing that I was uh, experimenting as a young child, like not really wanting to do that, but that's what I did. I had my sports background that helped me pick it up quick, right? So at that point, I was already aware that I was using these tools. Like it's very interesting, like not many see what they have, but I was not paying attention. I was just letting it ride, and all these tools were coming out to play. Like I was working what I learned, right? So fast forward, at the age of 16, 17, my sister and I, we created a group and we started off really strong. And at that point, we had a lot of peers that were gravitating towards us where we had a stable, like a little group. And then we just took off with it. So the amazing part about Folklorico, right? The Mexican folk dance, it's different dances from different regions, right? But everything that we studied did not have the ballet foundation in it. It was very um, stomp and rhythmic, aggressive dancing, and there's a lot of different styles. And so we were very lucky that we had um, teachers that were very disciplined, like back in the day, and if you didn't get it right, you got to do it again, things like that. So shout out to all my teachers that I've ever had as well. Like it's amazing that I was always a strong student, right? And so even when I became an instructor at a very young age, I never stopped being a student. Like I would always try to absorb and then share, absorb and share, absorb and share. And the more I did that, I had more space for learning and just fill it in, which was amazing because that was not in the mind. Like I wasn't decoding what I was doing. It was just something that kind of took off and went on its own, So trip out on this, there's where I got a lot of the colors, man, the different foods, the different dressing, not costumes, but how they dressed in the regions, and where it's more hot, there's less clothing. Where it's cold, more clothing. Like logical things, but that mean a lot, even with our indigenous walk nowadays. A lot of dancers, they love certain styles. It's great. But if you think about where they come from, it's like what region and how did they dress? Like we'll go to your origin of how did they dress, and then it helps you get a grasp on what you kind of want to look like as far as like your people, from your regions and stuff. But if it wasn't for that creative space, the all the work that all the maestros have done, the dancers have done for generations and generations, I would have never grabbed any of that, and I wouldn't have known what my peoples look like, you know, because here in the United States, we had only one big projection of a dance, you know, which was Amalia Hernandez, and she was a beautiful dancer, great creator, and people that did not know about this understood that that was Mexico, and it was not. That was an expression of her creative mind and her soul poured into her dancing and all that. So hats off to her too, because if it wasn't for what she did, it never would have been recognized. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing that pretty much started out the whole walk to what my culture is, the colors, the foods, the music, the style of music, and why and what. Like all these little puzzles started, like, you know, I was being more aware of what these puzzles were, and as I got older, I tried to link them and figure it out, you know, throughout my walk. So that's what the whole Folklorico, you know, how would you say it, like encounter, you know what I'm saying, throughout my life. Like when I encountered myself with that, it was amazing, and none of that shit would have happened if I didn't have the backup from my mother and my father, you know. Like
they're very supportive of it.
The thing is that my crazy ass took advantage of it. Some people look at that like, nah, you can't take advantage of people, but it wasn't a negative thing. I took it as shit. They're taking care of things. They're holding it down, this and that, and they were like, get out of here. Go do your thing. Go learn. Go dance if that's what you're gonna do. Like they didn't want us messing up or anything like that. So what I started doing was taking advantage of that. Like at a young age, I knew, like, if I don't do this, man, no one is. I'm like, so if they got my back like that, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go do, you know, travel and learn and gravitate towards like strong people and where I can get stuff from, you know. So that's the story behind the whole Folklorico walk right there.
I saw that dance, like I've seen it from afar, but I recently seen it up close, and like now that I've been doing danza, like it makes me look at any type of dance so differently. Like I'm really focused on like the outfits, the steps, the music, the beat, the sounds of everything. And when I was looking at it, I thought, I was like, man, that's so beautiful. And like, how long are the dresses and the outfits that the guys are wearing? Like, I'm really observing it. Like, what does that mean? And I wonder why they have this. And like, oh, they're like, then I read the steps as the women and the men go around each other, or they all line up. I know everything has a story behind it and a meaning, but I look at it so differently, and I thought it was so beautiful, but I could never pronounce it until now, until I wrote it down and I seen it. And I'm looking at it, Folklorico.
You got it.
I think I just have to write it down.
I'll ask her an hour. She won't know.
And the translation of that is art. That's
is it?
Much, that's what it is. It's art.
Oh,
wow. Art. Yeah.
Cool. And then when did you get, or how did danza get into that, like Aztec dancing?
Right. So this is a specific story right here. I was traveling with my sister, the oldest one, right, Crystal, and we were in Jalapa, Veracruz. So we were in a dance conference, and that was going great, amazing. So I met some people, and this elder dude, he came over to me. He's like, hey, where do you live at? And I was like, oh, I live in LA, man, you know. So then it turns out he lived in City Terrace, that's still here in LA, close by. And he came up to me and said, well, how would you like to come and give us a workshop on what you learned, like in the workshop? And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, cool. I never said no. That's the shit. Like, I never said no. I was, like, I'm sure. So, because again,
so that's how we only got you on here, huh?
Yeah.
You can't say no.
So the thing is, like, again, I'm gonna say, like, when I would see an instructor like do something, I was quick to absorb it, grab it, and then I would run it in my head like a play, like a football play. Like, okay, I know what I gotta do. Like I would break it down, decode it, whatever, dissect it, and then knew it. So I don't know if this older dude saw that. He saw something, right? And he's like, dude, can you come and set us up? For sure. So yeah, when we got back to LA, probably like 2 weeks after, I get there and I started teaching the pieces that I learned and sharing exactly what was given and the music and whatnot. So there, all right, I even forgot the name, and I'm sorry if anybody's listening that was from that group. I'm really sorry, but I don't remember the name of the group. I just know it was in City Terrace Park, and they also did danza. They did Danza Azteca there. So when I was done teaching, after I was like, okay, I'm done, I'm out. They brought out drums and they started dancing. So I'm looking at this, and it was pretty interesting because I've seen danza before, but this was choreographed and like uh, um, tempo was very fast and things like that. So I just stopped and I was observing. And at that point, my father had already connected himself with a group here in Los Angeles. That's one of the first group here in Los Angeles, Xipetotec, that's ran by the General Lázaro Arvizu, right? So my father already connected with him in Fresno, and so he got invited to go to Cypress Park to practice. So I told my pops, because he was doing the dancing, the Aztec dancing, um, come down, come check this out at City Terrace. So he gets there and it's so fast. My dad can't catch up to that. He's like, nah, man, this doesn't. They know what they're doing. Like it's arranged. So I'm like, all right. So he's like, you need to come over here. Come check this out. So I do go, right? So I get over there to Cypress Park, and the drums are there. The maestro is not there. But then up on the stage, like a basketball gym, up on the stage, there were some b-boys right there, right? And I grew up a b-boy and all into the hip hop community and stuff. So I looked at the b-boys and I jumped on the stage. I was like getting down with them, and the people that know me from that time, Xipetotec, like they knew that I would get there, b-boy, then do danza, and then b-boy, then go home. So it was cool. It was cool because I was just all into the whole dancing thing. But I did notice that when we danced, this man was moving everybody, like making everybody move like one. The circle was moving left and right and all that. So that caught my eye, like, damn, I've never seen anybody do something like that. And mind you, I have already been in training, seeing teachers and instructors and big companies, but this guy, like, you could look around and see different levels, right? Different levels of learning, but it didn't matter. This guy was moving everybody left and right, and I was like, how the hell did he do that? Like, it just mesmerized. So I told my pops, I'm coming back. Like, I want to do this. This is amazing. So the crazy thing about that right there is that is where our family, we got really united, and we turned it into we're all going on Mondays and Fridays. We're going.
Cool.
So that was cool. Where did it start though? My pops, he had a manda, like a promise. And in Guadalajara, there's the Romería, the Llevada la Virgen. So his dad was sick, and he did a promise to the Virgen to give him life, to help him out, get through that hump. And he gravitated here in the U.S. with Lázaro at Xipetotec to fulfill that promise, because he made it, and it disconnected for a while because of his travels and what he was doing. So just to see that he got to pick it back up, and now we're backing him up and moving forward with it, was amazing, because that is where we also carry that promise of going deeper and going down that rabbit hole and finding out and learning more. So that's pretty much. And the year, just to throw it out there, was like the beginning 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. And was it looked at, okay, was it looked at as like cool back then? Because I know, it's two different lives, right? Like
Yeah.
with danza, folklorico, or any traditions that somebody may be doing, like that's one, like it's a whole environment there. But then let's say like the inner city, like once you leave that practice or that community, then you have to go home and it's a whole different environment. Like,
Yeah.
were
You
they
hit the switch.
ever, did people know like what you were doing, and like were you talked down on about that, or how did you handle that?
Okay, so there's a few things I'm gonna answer what you brought up, right? Was it cool? Fuck yeah, it was cool. Hell yeah, it was cool. Like for me, it was amazing that at at, at that time there still wasn't that many Aztec dancers or like
Mm,
indigenous movement, right, in
right.
LA. And so just being like, shit, I am me. I dress like that. I was like I'm carrying somebody's torch, man, that's not here anymore. So I
Oh,
took a
okay.
big old honor pride with myself personally, not just like, let me put on my jersey and let me go ball on the weekends. No, it was like I knew early in my head, like, man, there's people that died for this, right? So I took it that
Mm,
serious, like in me. When I danced,
mm-hmm.
no expression, like, so I did. It was amazing. It was cool, me personally.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
mindset right there. That's what a lot of people don't think about is
Mm-hmm.
that to
Mm-hmm.
overcome and all that stuff that they were
Mm-hmm.
slaughtered, killed, and it
yep,
was laws put in place to forbid all this, and then now you get to put on that
exactly,
and rock it with respect, rock it with the
exactly.
knowledge, and carry that torch. At least then carry
Yes,
the bloodline and let it roll
right,
and go with it. And
right.
so and so wasn't able to do it back then, and I'm gonna do it today. Even freaking have long hair, everybody has long hair now, but back then, when I was young, I was like me and my cousin, the only ones wrong.
Right,
Now it's like,
right,
yeah. So
right. So you brought up a good point. So
now you brought it up.
I
You
did,
brought it up.
I did. Okay, so you heard me say, like, you got to hit the switch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bringing in a metaphor, light switch. When you back in the day, when you got out and you took off your clothing and you washed off your war paint and you took down your feathers, right? Okay, you have to hit that light switch because, like you say, like, you're going back to your hoods, your neighborhoods, your grocery stores, your whatever it is that you got to do after you
Mm-hmm.
ceremony. So people, I remember it was crazy that my own people, my own Mexican people in those days would look and say, they would say certain things like, oh, los indios, the Indians. They would say
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I wouldn't say nothing, obviously, but I would look at them like, man, if you only knew your ass was more Indian than me. Like,
Yeah.
but I carried that humor so that I would not get upset. I would not
Mm,
blame. That's the worst thing that, like, a lot of folks, and I also have done that, like, quick to blame, like, well, because you don't know, or it's like at a young age, and of course with a lot of help from my father, he helped me with a lot of knowledge of, like, no, man, like, you gotta continue, praying for those that are not here anymore, that can't
mm,
dress like that, and everybody that came before you. And so that was amazing in its own. How did I deal with it? I didn't put up blockers. I didn't, like, ignore it. I would take that shit home. Like, it would bother me and, like make me feel uncomfortable, right? So what I did, just like what Johnny said, like, a lot of folks don't do that. Again, I am very grateful for, like, my sports background, my family background and stuff, where all that stuff would just boil up and grow. So when I had to come back and put on my gear and paint myself up and all that, I'm putting it out there. So I danced with a lot of conviction, a lot of, like, strength, and you could feel it, you could see it, like my expressions and stuff like that. But I made it a point to put that list in my face and dance to it, you know, instead of doing, like, going another route. Like, I would put that in front of me, and little did I know I was checking off a list while I was dancing. Something like that, you know, just to put it in a metaphor, you know. That's what I would do.
Yeah, with regalia too, you got the, you know, I get a lot of things, and you probably too. They get a lot of stuff passed down with your regalia, and
Yes.
a lot of pride and culture, you know, from that person, where the regalia, feathers, equipment, or you want to call it, gets passed to you. And it's intimidating. Sometimes it's very intimidating knowing who it comes from, because you know how they go hard, and they're up to the task. And then, like me, you know, and your dad knows how I dance, and full speed, full throttle, all pride, happy, glad to do it. But I know that my kids are gonna be like, "Oh man, that's Johnny's kid right there." You know, the spotlight's on.
Yeah.
And it gets crazy like that, because there are generations. But when someone passes you that thing, or like with my kid, my feathers or whatever, like, they know where that feather came from and who had it before them.
Yes.
So there's that knowledge, and plus, that person never left that feather, and they're right there with you dancing.
Yes. Yeah, I
and
love
you
that
can
you
see
said
them.
that.
Yeah, and it gets intimidating, and sometimes they never leave. But it's all fun though, because you know they're with you, walking with you, and they're all going to be in your life no matter what, in your dreams no matter what, and they're right there next to you. But the key about it is having those pieces of jewelry too that people give to you, and dancing for their family, dancing for health. You know, also praying on your health, but also the family member. And I dance for a lot of people, and it takes a toll on you.
It does.
Especially if you're trying to educate them along the way.
Right.
And also dance with them along the way.
Right.
And that's the thing that you know, and your dad knows, and your family knows, that you guys teach and carry with you, and pass along that knowledge. And our whole thing right here is not to hoard the knowledge, but to share the knowledge.
Of course.
From generation to generation. Like our kids, they're growing up to all this. You know, we had to take that step.
Right.
And take the leap and understand where it's easier for them to walk into it, because they're more exposed to it at a younger age now. And
exactly.
And there's a lot of people at her age at the time coming in, you know, they have to be kicked to it, because they're adults, you know, they have to be kicked to it. And you find people like us that, like, come on, man, what are you doing? You know, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so my pop, that, just to add on to what you're saying, it's so true, man. And you know, my pa, I'm very grateful that before he ventured into his next walk, he got to see me lead. He would voluntarily say, "You lead, Chris. We'll follow you." So he put me in that position, and so I'm very honored that he was able to see how I was going to work with that before he ventured, and that's a big honor in itself, because I'm 100% with you. A lot of my peers, right, in the cultural world of the Aztec dancing, you know, it's very difficult, you know, to sometimes get to that mindset and get to that heartfelt movement, because of being in the inner cities and wherever it is that you come from. There's so many distractions, man. And so I feel like, just sharing right now, right, what helps me is, again, going back to that, when you're grabbing all your gear and getting it ready, your ceremony starts. Your mind channels into it. What you see, you start feeling. And then once you're ready to go, it's like, okay, it's go time. It's game time, you know? And so that's helped me along the way, like how to get my mind ready before my body is ready, you know? And that, man, that is key, very key, because that's where the prayer comes in, the massage of the mind, and, you know, and just remember why you're even there, you know? Why are you there? And that is where it like kicks off and you're ready to roll. Well, at whatever level it is, it doesn't matter, you know? But yeah, man, I agree with you 100% on that, for sure, for sure.
That's true. At any level that you're at. I wanted to share that sometimes when I'm at practice and I'm at danza, and of course I have to keep an eye on the kids, right? But
Of course.
there are moments that I'm like dancing and then I look at them and I'm just like so proud of myself that I'm out there and doing this so they can see it. But as I'm seeing them as well, like I'm like telling myself like, this is why I'm dancing for them. And then they give me
Beautiful.
that extra push to do it or to learn. And
That's dope.
you know, they're getting exposed to it. They like it. As I'm learning, they're learning too.
Of course.
And I like when I see them trying to dance or to drum because they're getting comfortable with it. And
Definitely.
they have that safe space where they could do it freely too.
Of course. Another thing I wanted to add was that I feel like nowadays, right now, this time and age, we have a big tool that I did not have when I was growing up with the dancing and the culture and the arts, which is our voice. Like the ability to calmly explain it and simplify it so that the babies and the new ones can catch on and move into it. Because nobody grabbed me by the damn hand and said, come on, man, this is how it is. Like you took your time, learned from your inspirations, and then you started grabbing stuff, and putting it here, putting it there, and you learned along your walk. But nowadays, it's amazing that we have that tool where we can explain, introduce, and bring it in and make it fun, and it's okay. And come on, it's a lot easier, like Johnny said, like to help like many come on in, and you'll know why, because back then it was like if you didn't have a connection, you were not even invited. It felt like that, and so even though it was very invited, like it was open, but not like now, where I could stop and say, hey, come here, and give you a little intro and make you feel good. Like, yeah, I want to do this, like, yeah, it's okay. That type of vibe, and we have something like the new age, right? That we also got to be careful with, but we have that tool, which is the voice, man, to like help the next, because we didn't have that. Like, no, man, like you said, passed down generations. It was a lot of observe, study, and you started gaining things little by little. And now we can like not expedite, but help the walk of somebody beginning into this road, and that's amazing right there. That's something that's beautiful right now. I see it happening.
And I can tell you from my experience going into danza, I felt that way. Cynthia, she's on here. Hey, Cynthia. She was the one. I would have asked her some questions here and there, but she took me to my first ceremony and exposed me. And she was just like, beautiful. Go on, go. But I'm always blessed. And I'm very appreciative that she exposed me to that because that gave me that push that I needed. And then you too, with your group,
thank you.
After so many years, you were practicing right down the block from where my mom lives.
Yep.
And then like, up until now, like all late, that we move far. I can't attend to all the practices, but anytime I would go to your practice, it was always like that, always welcoming and fun and safe space for the girls. And then I found out that you already knew Johnny. Yeah, I walked in there. I'm like, hey, excuse me, hi. Can I I just want to watch and learn. And then you're like, no, come on in. And then after I introduced myself, you already knew Johnny. And then I was like, oh, perfect, okay.
I'm the guy that tries to hide out and just I want to just chill, and everybody knows me.
Oh,
your whole dance group knew me and go places. I'm like, no, okay, hi. Hiding out somehow,
So a really cool fact right here. It was I believe it was 2000 and maybe 7. All right. So 2005 was my first experience in Tule River in the reservation for the elder gathering. All right. And 2007, I took a trip up to Tule and I ended up at the Tule reservation powwow. So I'm out there, and I'm like the only Aztec dancer. Like, it was nuts. Because I'm dressed, and I pull up, and I'm like,
Oh,
I'm in a
wow.
tribaling. Like, I'm in a tribaling by myself. I don't, I'm there for
Oh,
prayer. Like,
uh-huh.
I was there for a mission, right? So
Mm,
I get there, and I was doing my self healing at that time. So
mhm.
I get in, I start dancing, and you hear the announcer like, "Our brother from the south, yeah," like giving me
Oh.
props, like all this stuff. But trip out, I'm there, and Johnny caught my eye because that was the year that they honored Johnny. He was playing football in high school, and
I
then
don't remember this.
it's all right. Don't worry about it. So they honored Johnny, right? They highlighted him, and because he was a lead head man dancer at that
Mm,
powwow,
uh-huh.
so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I found Johnny on the battlefield, and I remember coming around and dancing, and Johnny was getting down. Johnny was doing his grass dance and looking at me. I was looking at him, and we were dancing. We were going nuts. But it was a great experience because that's when I first saw Johnny, and he was like in high school, probably senior,
Yeah.
and I loved that how that community was highlighting the young, on their achievements and then giving them that space, right? And so I gravitated towards that, like, man, that's awesome. But again, that was the first time I saw Johnny right there. And then other powwows throughout the years, I would see Johnny because if anybody knows Tule, man, like the Sasquatch and the just the history, the colors from Tule. So I knew that. And so wherever I could reach, I would share this information, so people in my close reach would know about Tule, Johnny, and grandmas up in the res. I have a beautiful experience. I had an operation and broke my wrist. So my pops took me up there for healing, and I'm sitting there, and one of the elders from Tule uh, helped me with the sage bath, right?
Mm,
And took off the whole spleen and whatnot. And there, it was amazing, to really feel that magic from an elder from Tule, right? And I took that like like it was really awesome. Besides the whole, outer layers of logic, what I felt inside, it was like something I took with me. Like it was personal, body, things like that. And my recovery was faster just because I believed, you know. So I've had a really cool experience with Johnny's land, and knowing Johnny for that long was really cool, man. Like, so having you come to our home, our practice, and speaking and the things that you're doing, bro, like, man, I'm proud of you, and I just love that I am able to say, like, I'm in connection with you and moving forward in this road right now, and
Right.
that's amazing, man. It's cool.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know.
It's
It's
all
just,
right, brother.
that's crazy how those stories and they hit you and it's like wow that's and how you keep it and you store it and you remember it and it's
That's right.
more of a keep going, bud. Like keep
Yeah,
going, keep
yeah,
pushing.
man.
What a lot of people need and how we said like that's crazy. Thank you for sharing that. And man,
Yeah, no doubt.
um, so I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to
No
talk
problem.
about your tattooing.
Yo,
You're a tattoo artist.
yes.
What type of what's the right term? What style do you do?
All right. So before I get into the style and all that, shout out to
Okay.
everybody that has ever um, allowed me or reached out to me to get ink from me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it because without you guys, I wouldn't be able to like um, up my craft and keep learning with that.
Mhm.
So the history behind that is I started tattooing here in Los Angeles, Cali, and the first tattoo that I did was on myself.
Oh yeah.
And oh yeah, yeah, I
Let me
did it on
see.
myself.
Is
Oh
it on
man,
your
I gotta
hand or
move
your
the
knee?
camera.
Your foot?
It's on the calf. So the first shop that I worked at was on Western and Martin Luther King, right? Which is a very heavy neighborhood back in the day.
Mhm.
And there was a tattoo artist there, only one at that time. So I went and asked for a job, and I got blessed, man, to just start. So it's not like nowadays where you could purchase your tools and then get to it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, man, I was right there, like cleaning everything, autoclave, like sterilizing, and building needles, like soldering needles, making
Oh,
them tight.
damn.
Like, oh yeah, there was a lot more. I come from that time, and so it was a blessing in itself because it was something new. So I was learning everything that I could, but
Mm-hmm.
being able to do the hands-on, the back work, that gave me a lot of knowledge. So that's my beginnings. Um, I've been tattooing for a little bit over like close 22 years around there, and I did do the tattoo industry, being in shops and things like that. Uh, but I never stopped dancing. I never stopped traveling and doing what I had to do with my prayers. So, so it was very hard for me to stay just grounded in tattooing and be
Oh.
like, just be there 24/7. So, I'm very blessed that, those that gave me an opportunity to be in the shop, I did it. It was a great run. I learned so much from my peers. And then fast forward, my first shop that I opened up was in 2010 on Whittier Boulevard in East LA,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a great experience. It was the first time, and that's when a lot of really cool tattoo artists were hitting TV and barely blowing up like
Mm-hmm.
crazy,
I
you know,
remember.
and so I stuck around. I just kept going and going, and the one thing that I never let that down, that one craft, like I felt like I never let it down. It always took care of me. I got to take it wherever I went, and that's the beginning of that. That's the beginning of the whole tattooing.
Mm.
So the styles, just being a tattoo artist here in Los Angeles, you have to be. The reason why I say you have to be is like back in that day, you have to be able to survive by being good at multiple styles, like
Mm.
the black and gray shading, color work, lettering, numbers, like you name it. Like you got to be able to, well, what do you want? This, okay, and get to it. So a
Oh.
lot of artists back in the day, if you were already established and you had a name, like you knew what your craft was. But
Oh,
all the
okay.
younger dudes, you're trying to like come up and everyone's watching you. And no one would really share their talents, man, like their little tricks and the details. So you kind of have to watch, pick it up, and go. So I very fortunate that I was able to say yes to different tattoo tasks and different styles, and people trusting, like yeah, we'll go with this fool, no problem, come on in, and then getting it, you know, and so uh, doing quite a few tattoos, different styles, kind of gave me a little bit more confidence. It gave me more confidence to like excel in color work, which here in Los Angeles, you're really not like big on color work back in the days, like, you
Mm.
know, early
Oh.
2000s and things like that. A
Uh-huh.
lot of people were looking for like black and gray and things like that.
Oh.
The one thing though that I can say was I did notice that a lot of clients would ask me for my custom Aztec builds. So what I mean by that is I make the clothing for the Aztec dancer. I customize them for the dancer. I don't make multiple, right, like off of one design. I don't copy them.
Uh-huh.
I try my best to just make one for the dancer specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people that would come and get tattoos would see a traje on the wall that I'm working. I'd be like, bro, I want that. I'm like, that ain't a tattoo design. Like, that's for a traje. What do you mean? And then I would bring one out. They're like, bro, you need to do that. You need to do that. But I never did it to run something with that, like make
Mm.
books, posters, and I never really did that. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like if you knew it, you wanted it, I would honor you with it. I would make one for you and then tattoo it. So that's
Oh,
something that I did along the whole way, but never really paid attention to that till now, you know.
mm-hmm.
So that's pretty awesome. So I'm pretty well grounded with, you know, different styles, but I do want to say that my strongest craft is doing the custom Aztec builds. That's something that I know now.
What is that? The the outfits or
So
oh
basically, yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah. So basically, you whatever you see on an Aztec traje, right?
Yeah.
A clothing and the design, the intricate designing and all of that.
Mm.
What I have done is when I'm creating them, now I'll think of a leg, I'll think of a chest, I'll think of an arm, and design
Mm.
something that I would do on a clothing for ceremony on the body. You know?
Oh, okay, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening in and that are danzantes, if they would like to or want to,
Oh, for
they can
sure.
go to your shop. Right? Go
Oh
place a
yeah, no
custom
doubt.
order. And where's your shop at again?
It's in Los Angeles on 28th and Vermont. It's the address is 2801 South Vermont Avenue, and
And they
the
can
shop is
also,
called
uh-huh,
Calvillo Art Studio.
Calvillo Art Studios. And they can
Yes,
follow your Instagram as well, add you and contact you through there, of
no
course.
doubt.
And of course, get tatted if you guys want something. His work is amazing. I
Thank you.
I got my kids' birthdays tattooed on me from him, but you can't see.
Nice.
But,
Thank you so much.
but anyways, yeah, yeah. I'm waiting to go back again. But
All right, awesome.
yeah, get some work done. But did you want to touch up on anything else? Maybe add
Um,
something else before we close it out.
just about the art studio.
Uh-huh.
So before my father passed, and shout out to my pops, man. Like he's been a big influence not only to my family, right? His son and daughters, you know, his wife, my mama, and but in the community, man, like it was amazing to see how many people he touched, you know, and I'm forever grateful that I am able to see that, you know, and it's a little foggy. I don't remember a lot from when he had to venture out, but
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna say on this, right, like thank you, and I'm forever grateful that I was able to see that. So the reason why I bring that up is because the Calvillo Art Studio was inspired 100% by him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he was already speaking about retiring from jewelry and
Oh.
creating a space, a store where people can come, a one-stop shop, and he could be here and create 24/7 just art pieces and everything that I have done uh, in regards to the arts was to stabilize our tribe, dress our tribe, and build our tribe, not necessarily to go and sell. It
Okay.
started right there, you know. And so Pops brought that up to me, like, and so when he passed, and we were during the pandemic, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I remember I just got up off my ass, man. I was at home, like, you know what? No, came driving to the market. I saw this spot, and I was like, let me see what's up with this. And I came, started researching, and I got it, you know.
Oh.
And being in here, you know, that's what it's focused on. It's a one-stop shop to build your own custom stuff, and um, everything is inspired by Pops, man. Like those of you that have been here already, thank you so much. Because without you guys, I mean, this place wouldn't run, you know. And I'm just grateful, you know, that friends and family they're very supportive, you know. And this is the first time that this uh, type of thing is even on the map. Like
Mm.
everyone knows about, you know, a lot of shout out to everyone that sells, resells, hooks up people. They're the connections and things like that. This right here is your storefront. You know, you come on in. It's just setting the bar high, because it's not about me or my family. It's about the next, our people. Like, why isn't there 20 more of these? Like, do it. You know, I'm encouraging. Like, we should be out there to be able to take care of our own peeps. Like, that's where the whole drive comes from. So it has a good inspiration. I back it up by whatever it is that I'm able to put my hands on, and I'm just, you know, just spreading the love, man. Like, I had a very, very trippy experience growing with this, and I'm forever honored that I'm able to even share, like, put my little grain of salt to my culture and my community. It's amazing, you know. So that's where I'm at. I just wanted to give a little bit about the studio, and feel free to hit me up and come on through.
Yeah, that's cool. Just to build your community, and you know, their regalias, outfits, and they can't be hopping on other groups. Just saying.
What crew you from?
Yeah,
I know, that's what he says all the time.
Yeah, what hood do you rap?
That's cool, man.
That's cool. You know, good idea, good thought process, and you know, it's out there. You know, you're building it up, and that's what is very encouraging, inspiring too, to get people going.
Yeah, no doubt.
People don't have that one-stop shop, or even a one-stop. You know.
Yeah, some people don't
that's
even know
true.
who to
That's
talk
true.
to, where to go.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not as open. Like, I wouldn't even know if it weren't for you. Like, I wouldn't have known who to go to make a traje. Or I've heard some people say that, like, oh yeah, I know somebody, but I can't reach them or something, or it's hard, or they're busy all the time with other trajes. And
well, the cool thing about it is that in our communities, we do have, like, quite a bit of people that cater to that. They spend their time, you know, researching, grabbing arts, regalia, clothing, feathers, whatever, what have you, and bring it to their own homes or locations, and then and go to ceremony, put a pop-up, things like that, and there you can purchase. Like, there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of people, you know, and shout out to that hustle, because that thing's like back in the day selling tapes out the trunk. Like, you know, you're doing your job. Like, you're catering and helping out the community. Yes, you know, and props to them, because I knew when we had, you know, we needed stuff, we knew who to reach out to get, like, the last minute things together. You know, like, no doubt, you know. So like I said, props to them. You know, I hope they continue moving forward, because that's what we're supposed to do. You know, so the whole thing about making this storefront is that, like, you probably don't know where to reach that, but if you Google it, bam, you're here. So if I don't have it, I can reach out to those guys or ladies, whatever the thing is, you know. So I'm glad that, you know, this could be also a stepping stone. It doesn't have to be the spot. You know what I'm saying? I'm not built like that, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing, you know.
Before we end it, we have to look at the comments. I haven't even, like.
Oh, we've been all up in the talk, man. Like,
I know. Let me see.
Up in the shop.
We had a few people. Yeah, she was asking. She said, "Yeah, talking stick is back."
Yeah, we had a lot of people from UCLA Powwow go, "When's the talking stick? When's the talking stick coming on?" I'm like, "Chill out, man."
Hey, brother, shout out to everybody at UCLA. That was a beautiful powwow.
Yeah, Malibu too, and we had the two events right there that we went to, and saw you guys, you know, doing your thing.
Maestro, hands down. You got a couple of your students in here.
All right, shout out
your cousin Erica. She said, "Yes, sir. That's my primo. Love you."
All right, love you guys. Yeah.
Cynthia Lezios. She said, "Oh my God, I remember the B-boys from back then. They were cool."
We were B-boys to the Aztec drums.
Yes, we will not be silent. Go, Chris. Yes.
All right.
You guys are inspiring.
Hey, that's a blessing, man. Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Tony? T-Bear was on here.
T-Bear.
Let's see.
He's a new shirt.
Saludos and respect.
Nice.
A lot of support here. Thank you, everybody. Awesome. I'm his sister, and I'm waiting. Oh, your sister? She said, I'm his sister, and I'm waiting on my appointment to get tatted.
Oh, my goodness.
Already got Cris working on my baby's traje. Aw, that was the mente buttons. I think that's in Spanish. Yeah. Sorry if I botched it.
Okay, what was that word? Come back to your word. What do you guys say?
Folklorico.
Yeah, you looked at the notes.
I have to look at my notes. I have to refer to.
Good job.
Grandpa Bear was amazing. Yep, a lot of support here. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no doubt.
Thanks for coming on and sharing the knowledge and passing it, and hopefully inspire some more that want to reach out and that don't have the opportunity to reach out and have someone to contact, myself or you, Andy, whoever's in the chat. Pass it along, pass up the knowledge, and that's the main thing. Share and educating, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to even know this stuff. And
that is true. Yeah, no doubt.
They want to know, and we share this right now. Okay, close it out.
Okay, hang on. What's his name? He said, for real, my OI t-shirt needs a quick patch up. I thought I botched somebody's name. Never mind. Somebody commented on it. But okay, thank you everybody for coming in. Thank you, Cris. So much, I very much appreciate it. All of you guys are listening. If you want a tattoo, traje, info, support, contact Cris at Tattoo Cris. He's in on the post. You can follow him on there. But again, thank you everybody. Thank you, Cris. Hope you guys have a good night.
All right, later.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, thanks for coming on. Good talk. We'll be back hopefully soon. Hopefully next week, not like a couple months later.
Hopefully
we're Anyway, thank you guys. We saw. Bye, Nessa.
Bye.